I think ORB is a really good show and deserves to be put in a pedestal for what will be one of the best animes to ever air this decade. And it's crazy how unpopular the show is. In my anime list, it's ranked 1593rd in popularity. There is nearly 1600 animes that is more popular than Chi. And it's not down to its production. This is being done by Madhouse Studio and directed by Shimizu Kenichi. The show has very little action, but when it does great. But I think most of the production efforts go to the sky and the background art of the show, on how the constellations or how the stars look, and they look absolutely magnificent. Now, this is a show revolving around heliocentrism, the idea that the Earth and other planets are moving around the sun. Now, the church doesn't like that and doesn't like change and like the idea of geocentrism, which is everything revolves around the Earth, because that one Greek guy said so that one time. This is not an educational show. It doesn't really tell you about interesting scientific facts about heliocentrism, nor is it historically accurate. Like, quick spoilers here, Copernicus, the main heliocentrism guy, doesn't even exist in the show, but only gets brought up at some weird after-credit nonsense. What the plot is truly about is philosophies, morality, questions about religion and human nature. But I think the main message that the mangaka of Chi, Uoto, tries to relay to anyone who consumes it is about conviction. Now, the show follows multiple main characters as they try to prove and put forward the idea of heliocentrism. You learn quickly that the show doesn't really like their main characters to stay alive for long. But each of these characters have very unique convictions that drives them to pursue heliocentrism. Raphael, the first person we follow, initially is content with life, just simply surviving. But he becomes a person with strong conviction after meeting this guy called Hubert, who introduces him to heliocentrism. His conviction is to show the world that it is beautiful and not some random sketching that Ptolemy did. That God didn't design the universe to be some bumbling mess of a drawing. But Denny, the priest who joined priesthood in the first place because the church got all the scientific records, his conviction is just to pursue truth and knowledge for his own, so he has some weird superiority kick. Oxy is an interesting guy. He initially starts as a person without conviction, just going through life killing people, as his job was a hired hitman. In fact, as far as being scared of pursuing any type of conviction because he fears that God is constantly watching him and he's afraid of making the wrong step. But later in the show, he finds his conviction in the pursuit of freedom. The idea that everyone should be able to research, write, portray, to simply do whatever they want, what truly feels true to their heart. Yolenta is a woman in the 16th century, and women in the 16th century don't really got a lot of rights. Her conviction is to simply publish something of her own, because, well, you can't publish anything scientific as a woman. Who do you think you are, Mary Curie? Draka initially had a very strong conviction to make money, but shifted into wanting to change the world after meeting Yolenta. Schmidt is this ultra-nationalist who just simply wants the world to go back to monkey and take down the church because he really likes the sunrise for some reason. And Novak, the main villain of the show. He's a man who wants to keep the status quo, to hang around with his daughter, slowly climbing this church corporate ladder. But it all shifted after some random tomfoolery, and now Novak has one true purpose: to take down heliocentrism once and for all. Everyone I've listed have very strong conviction, which sadly leads to their demise, but through these characters, Uoto tells the audience how one approaches one's conviction. Like through Raphael and Oxy. Raphael and Oxy initially both didn't have conviction and is living through life nonchalantly. Though it is not a bad life, they are comfortable in that said life, but once each of them gets a hit of inspiration. Have that one person that push you, to motivate you to achieve something greater than yourself. Though even in death, they find the satisfaction in pursuing conviction. The satisfaction that a person without conviction cannot even fathom. Owoto also teaches that one should be able to change one's conviction. The third main character we follow is Draka. Draka is born to be a nomad, and nomads ain't got a lot of money. So her initial conviction is just to find some Arab money, you get me? Just getting a ton of money. But that conviction is a bit shallow, it doesn't really lead to anything. Then Draka meets Yolenta and finds her conviction inspiring. She then changes her conviction to try to fulfill Yolenta's conviction, to try to change the world to make it one that Yolenta would be happy with. Now, in the other spectrum, we have Novak. Novak is the main villain of the show, the sheer opposite of the good guys. He's a man who simply wants everything to stay the same. But the moment he saw Rafael, the person who should have motivated him to pursue something more than himself, he doesn't. He lives through life not wanting to change his conviction and lives a terrible life. Though longer than his counterparts, but never once sniffed that satisfaction the same way the people who believe in heliocentrism by pursuing greater conviction. Now, the last idea that Owoto teaches in ORB is that one should have a balance between believing in one's conviction and doubting it. That in the end, you should not really die for your conviction and find a better way to pursue it. He talks about this idea through Albert's little mini arc. Albert is a person who has great conviction for curiosity. He just wants to figure out what the world is about, whether it is geocentric or heliocentric, and not really get bogged down by any of the idea. Really pursuing both ideas with earnest so that the world won't be after him and the church won't be trying to peel his fingers off. I really do suggest watching ORB. It's an anime that makes you question your beliefs and tells an interesting message about conviction, and that I think a lot of people needs to hear.